Stay right where you are. What I am about to say is going to reach somewhere inside you that most things never reach. This is not casual conversation. This is not the kind of thing you scroll past and forget in 10 minutes. This is the thing you have been waiting to hear without knowing you were waiting. So do not move. Do not skip ahead. Every single word of what follows was meant to find you exactly where you are sitting right now. You have experienced a death that left no visible scar. No obituary was written. No one held a service. The world kept moving as if nothing happened, but you know something happened. You know because there is a version of you that no longer exists. A version that was here before a specific moment, a specific season, a specific devastation, and then was gone. And the person who kept walking after that moment, the person who got up and kept going and learned how to function again, that person is fundamentally different from the one who existed before. You feel that difference in your bones. You do not need anyone to explain it or confirm it. You lived the before. You have been living the after ever since. And the gap between those two versions of yourself is not something ordinary language has ever done a good job of describing. But here is what I want you to understand today. Here is the thing that was never explained to you. Here is the piece that changes how you interpret everything that has happened since that death. That experience did not just break you. It opened something. Something that remains sealed in people who have never been taken to that level of devastation. When a person walks through the kind of internal death that you walked through, when the pain reaches deep enough and the loss is total enough and the destruction is complete enough, something shifts in how they perceive reality. The ordinary filter that separates the surface from the substance, the visible from the invisible, the performed from the true. That filter becomes permeable in a way it never was before, and suddenly the world looks different. People look different. Conversations feel different. You start to register things that others around you seem completely oblivious to. You start to sense what is real beneath what is being presented. You start to know things that you cannot logically account for knowing. And the people around you notice something changed, even if they cannot name it. Something in the way you see, something in the way you sit in a room, something in the way you respond to things that says, this person has been somewhere most people have not been. They were right. You have. And what came back from that place is not the same as what went in. I want to take you back to the moment of the death because I think most people who have experienced it have spent enormous amounts of time and energy trying to make sense of it, trying to understand the why, trying to reconcile the fact that something so shattering was allowed to happen to them. And I want to offer you something today that is not a cliché, not a bumper sticker version of suffering having purpose, the actual reason, the version that holds up when you press against it. The version of you that existed before that death had limits, real, specific limits that were not obvious from the outside, but were structural. The before version was good, was genuine, was full of real potential, but was also too pliable in the wrong places, too dependent on approval from sources that were never worthy of that power, too trusting before trust had been earned, too afraid of the things that needed to stop having authority over you, too willing to compress yourself into whatever shape the room required. Too easily redirected by voices that should not have had influence. And the place you are being taken, the assignment that was written over your life before you took your first breath, that place required a version of you that those limitations could not survive. It required someone who had been made unshakable in the specific places where you used to shake. Someone who had developed discernment in the specific areas where you used to be blind. Someone who could carry a specific weight that the before version would have set down. And there was no path from that version to this one that did not run directly through the middle of the fire. The fire was not punishment, it was construction. Now I want to talk about what this opening actually produces in everyday life, because I want you to recognize yourself in what I am about to describe. I want you to see clearly that the experiences you have been quietly carrying, sometimes wondering if something is wrong with you, are not confusion, are not weakness, are not imagination. They are the direct result of having had that particular interior shift. The first thing it produces is an immediate and almost involuntary ability to read the truth of a person. You walk into a space and something in you begins to process what is actually present beneath what is being performed. You can feel who is genuine before they have said anything that should reveal it. You can sense who is carrying pain underneath the composed exterior they are presenting to the room. You can detect an agenda before it has done anything to expose itself. You know when something is off, even when every visible thing appears fine. And you have probably spent years being told you are too suspicious, too quick to judge, too sensitive about things that turn out to be nothing, and then they turn out to be exactly what you sensed from the beginning. This is not a personality quirk. This is a perceptual gift that was activated by what you survived, and the single most counterproductive thing you can do with it is continue to second-guess it every time it speaks. The second thing it produces is the capacity to feel what other people are feeling as if it were your own experience. Not metaphorically, physically. You sit near someone who is suppressing grief and something in your chest responds to it. You walk through a space where an argument happened hours ago and feel the residue of it in the air. You talk to someone performing happiness while something underneath is unraveling, and you feel the unraveling more clearly than the performance. This has probably exhausted you more than anything else in your life, because you were never taught what it was or how to work with it. You just knew that you absorbed things from environments and people that others seemed completely unaffected by. And it made you feel oversensitive, too porous, too easily overwhelmed. But this capacity, properly understood and properly directed, is one of the rarest and most powerful gifts a human being can carry. It is the thing that makes people who have never met you feel immediately understood in your presence. It is the reason strangers tell you things they have never told anyone. It is the reason someone in crisis calls you before anyone else. The world is full of pain that people are carrying in complete silence, because they cannot find anyone capable of sitting with them in it without flinching. You are one of the rare people who can. Do not minimize that. The third thing it produces is a direct line to something that operates beyond ordinary thought. I am talking about the dreams that do not feel like dreams. The ones that deliver information, that show you things, that leave you waking up with a knowing that you cannot attribute to anything your conscious mind processed. I am talking about the thoughts that arrive fully formed from somewhere outside your own reasoning process. The sudden clarity about a situation that drops in with such precision and completeness that you know it was not generated by you. These are not accidents. They are not the random misfires of an overactive mind. They are the specific result of having a perceptual opening that allows communication to come through at a frequency that most people's ordinary filters block out entirely. Learn to distinguish these arrivals from your own thoughts. Learn to honor them when they come, instead of immediately subjecting them to the skepticism of your rational mind. They have been more accurate than you have given them credit for. The fourth thing it produces is an almost visceral intolerance for anything that is not real. After what you went through, after the veil was torn, superficiality began to feel not just boring but genuinely unbearable. Conversations that stay on the surface feel suffocating after a few minutes. Relationships built on performance rather than actual presence drain you faster than almost anything else. Spaces where everyone is collectively pretending to be happy, pretending to be unbothered, pretending that what is obviously happening is not happening. Those spaces make you want to leave immediately, and you have never been entirely able to explain why to people who seem perfectly comfortable in them. They have called you intense, too serious, too much, and you have probably spent a long time trying to figure out what is wrong with you that you cannot just relax and be fine with the surface the way everyone else seems to be. Nothing is wrong with you. You touched something real, devastatingly real, and that contact made the absence of realness impossible to ignore. What feels to others like you being difficult is actually a finely calibrated intolerance for falseness that was developed by having been brought into genuine contact with what is true. It is not a flaw. It is a standard that protects you from wasting your life on things that were never going to sustain you anyway. The fifth thing it produces is a sense of mission so persistent it borders on uncomfortable. Not an abstract feeling that you should probably do something meaningful with your life. A specific, driving, will not let you rest awareness that you were placed here for something particular. That the time you have is not unlimited. That somewhere there are people who are waiting for something only you can bring them. That the story you carry has a destination beyond your own processing of it. This is not anxiety, even though it sometimes looks like anxiety from the outside. It is assignment making itself felt. It is the thing inside you that knows what you went through was not the end of a story, but the beginning of one. And it refuses to let you settle into a version of life that does not honor the weight of what you survived. Now I want to stay with the part that nobody in this conversation ever seems willing to stay with, the loneliness. The specific, particular, almost structural loneliness that is part of carrying all of this. Because the gifts are real, and they matter, and they are worth talking about. But so is this. There is a kind of alone that comes from perceiving things other people are not perceiving, feeling things other people are not feeling, knowing things other people are not knowing, and having no language between you and the people around you to bridge that gap. You have sat in rooms full of people who cared about you and felt completely invisible. Not because they were failing you, because they were looking at the surface and you were living somewhere beneath it, and the distance between those two places was sometimes too wide for connection to cross. And so you learned to manage it. You learned to present a version of yourself that was accessible, that did not require people to go anywhere they were not equipped to go. You learned to keep the deeper reality private. And the loneliness that came from that performing, from that perpetual self-editing, was its own kind of ongoing death. I need you to hear this directly. You are not as alone as that loneliness has made you feel. There are others. Right now, today, in this exact moment, people who have been through the same fire, who carry the same opening, who feel the same things and know the same things, and have sat in the same rooms feeling the same invisible, are watching this and recognizing themselves in every word you are recognizing yourself in. You have not been among your people. That is not the same as your people not existing. They exist. And the more fully you stop compressing yourself into a size that was never accurate, the more directly you will find them. I want to talk about the responsibility that comes with all of this because it is real and it matters. To perceive what you perceive is not a private luxury. It is a specific obligation. When you can see that someone is being deceived and you say nothing, you are not just failing them, you are failing the gift. When you can feel what someone is carrying and you create no space for them to set it down, you are withholding something that was given to you specifically so it could be shared. The pain you survived, every layer of it, every part of the breaking, was not just a personal ordeal. It was material. It is the content of a message that can only be delivered credibly by someone who actually lived it. The people you are meant to reach are not going to be moved by someone who has never been to the place they are in. They are going to be moved by someone who has been exactly there, who knows what the floor of that place feels like, who survived it and rose from it, and can say with authority that there is an other side. That is you. And every day you spend hiding that story, softening it, making it smaller so it fits more comfortably into ordinary spaces, is a day the people who needed to hear it go without it. Let me tell you how to actually live from this place, because understanding it is one thing, and walking in it daily is another entirely. Stop apologizing for what you perceive. Your discernment is not overthinking. Your sensitivity is not weakness. Your knowing is not imagination. These are real, reliable, consistently accurate faculties that have earned your trust. Start treating them accordingly. When something in you registers that something is off, stop overriding that registration with what your logic thinks or what other people's comfort level requires. The gift has been right about things your mind dismissed more times than you have been willing to count. Give it the credibility it has earned. Protect what you carry with actual intention, because the openness that makes you perceptive also makes you absorptive in ways that can drain you completely if you are not careful about what you allow access to your energy. You take on more than the average person from every environment and every interaction. Left unmanaged, that absorption becomes depletion, and a depleted person cannot do what they were built to do. Create the space you need. Establish the distance from things that drain without replenishing. Guard your inner world the way you would guard anything irreplaceable, because it is. Use the pain as the message. Do not sanitize it. Do not skip to the part where you were okay. The part where you were not okay is the part that reaches people. The rawness of what you survived is not a liability to be edited out. It is the credential that makes everything you say credible. And finally, stop fighting the fact that you are different. I know how much energy has gone into wishing you could just be normal, just relax, just not feel everything so fully, just fit without effort into the ordinary rhythms of ordinary life. But the separateness is not something that happened to you by accident. It was the design. You were set apart because the function you were built for requires someone who is not like everyone else. The very things that have made you feel most out of place are the things that make you most equipped for what is coming. Stop treating them like problems to be solved and start treating them like specifications for an assignment. Here's how I want to close. The death you went through was real. The grief of it is real. The loss of what you were before is a real loss, and it deserves to be honored as such. You are allowed to mourn the innocence that did not survive, the lightness that was replaced by something heavier, the version of trust you carried before it was broken in the specific way it was broken. Grieve it fully. Do not rush past it in the name of purpose. But when the grief has completed what it needed to complete, look at what you are now. Look at the depth, the discernment, the unshakable quality that runs all the way through you, the capacity to love that still exists after everything that tried to end it, the ability to see what you now see that you could not see before. That is not a tragedy wearing a spiritual costume. That is genuine transformation. That is the actual product of a fire that burned everything that was never going to serve the real purpose anyway. And the world, right now, in this specific era, needs what you became on the other side of everything that tried to finish you. Do not fold it back up. Do not shrink it back down. Do not make it smaller because smaller is more comfortable for the room you happen to be in. Let it be exactly the size it actually is. Because you did not survive that death to live a small life. You survived it for this. For the people whose lives changed because you decided to rise and be completely, unapologetically, fully what you were made to be.